Hello, everyone. Good evening. It's such a pleasure to be here tonight. I am Christina Garrett. I am honored to serve the world as a productivity coach for superstar working moms. And tonight, for Momathon Live, I am so excited to have another superstar hardworking mom, Dr. Janice Supplee, here with us tonight. Thank you so much for being here, ma'am.
I am so glad to talk with you tonight. It's going to be a privilege.
Yes, indeed. Same here for me. While we share this live with all the people and they get a chance to log on, would you just tell us a little bit about yourself, where you come from, and what you do at Cedarville University?
Absolutely. So, my name is Janice Supplee, and I've had the privilege of serving at Cedarville University for 28 years. I can hardly believe it's been that long, but it's been an incredible journey. I love working here. God has given me the privilege to serve as vice president for marketing and communications. And then I have a dual role. I also serve as dean of our graduate programs, which has been an incredibly fun challenge. I've really enjoyed doing that. I've done that since 2017.
Wow.
And I am married. And like you said, I'm a mom. I have one adult son who is just got married in May. And so we are really enjoying this new stage of life. And then I'm mom to two dogs. So I'm a dog lover. You have to know Scout and Lexi are two Cocker Spaniels, and they're a fun part of our life as well.
Awesome. I love it so much. I have so much empathy for you as you had just this one adult son, right? Like, my oldest son, I'm looking at him and he's growing fuzz across his lips. And I'm looking at him like, oh my gosh, you're cute. This is dramatic. You're going to grow up and you're going to be managed and you're going to get married. I'm excited about the getting married and grandma part of life. But, the idea of them stretching their wings, I'm sure that you all are very familiar with.
Yeah, and seeing them be ready is just such an awesome privilege. And then in our case, God has given us an amazing daughter-in-law. So I tell people I didn't lose a son, I really gained a daughter, and I'm so thankful for that.
Yes, indeed. My mother-in-law says the same thing about me, thankfully. Way about that. Yes, indeed. Okay, so tell us more about your work at Cedarville. I'm excited to share a lot of the amazing opportunities that you all have for not just, you're over graduate studies, but I connected with Cedarville as they were talking about dual enrollment for homeschoolers. And that really hooked me in and made me really excited. So just share some of the heart and the mission behind Cedarville and the work that you do there.
Absolutely. So Cedarville is really an amazing place. So I'll start with where we're located. We're located in southwestern Ohio, so about an hour from Cincinnati and Columbus. We are a Christian university that was founded back in 1887. And I would say what really sets us apart is our mission. And we focus on transforming lives through excellent education and intentional discipleship in submission to the authority of Scripture. And each one of those words is super important to who we are. So we're really about transforming lives, whether it is a graduate student or an undergraduate student. We recognize that this investment of time in education is really a time that's going to transform you, whether it's, someone going from living at home to now living on their own and being in a career, or if it's an adult saying, I'm ready to take that next step in my career. And so we really focus in on transforming lives. But how do we do that? Through excellent education and then that intentional investment in our students' lives so that when they graduate, not only are they prepared professionally, but they really love the Lord more. They understand Scripture more, and they're ready to live that out in whatever calling God has given them. Mm-hmm. And sometimes I think people wonder, if you go to a Christian college, do you have to sacrifice quality? Mm-hmm. And that's one of the things I'm so excited about Cedarville is I really don't think you have to. Mm-hmm. We have outstanding programs. So at the undergraduate level, our largest programs are going to be engineering. We have multiple engineering programs, nursing, business, psychology, programs that you're going to find at major state universities, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And our placement rate is 99%. So when you go through Cedarville, we have over 300 employers who come to our campus every single year to recruit our graduates. Wow. And the reason they do that is, yes, we think we have an outstanding program, but they like the quality of our graduates, the ethics that they bring, the hard work that they bring, and they know they're equipped and prepared. So that's really who we stand for, or what we stand for. We stand for Christ and what we stand for. And then just kind of the stats. We have, as of today, 5,400 students. So the Lord has really been blessing us. That will be our 16th or 17th record enrollment. We're just getting ready to report that tomorrow. We have over 175 different programs to choose from. 30 of those would be at the graduate level, and then the rest would be undergraduate. And Christina, you mentioned dual enrollment. This is one of the things I'm really excited about. We offer a dual enrollment program to nearly 1,000 students. Most of those are studying online, and pretty much take all of your gen eds, general education courses, while you're still in high school. And we have homeschool families that are taking advantage of that opportunity. They have students who are ready for that level of preparation, and they are enrolling. The cost is greatly reduced. It's $185 per credit hour at that level. Wow. So very affordable. And it's just a great program that I think a lot of families are seeing the value. And honestly, you think about it, if you are enrolling in the high school level and taking maybe even a year's worth of credit, and your student can graduate in 3 years instead of 4, you're talking about a savings of what, $25,000 to $40,000. That's the truth. Huge savings. And so more and more families are saying this is part of our college savings plan, is to help our student take those courses when they're still in high school.
Now I want to ask a question about, and we'll get to graduate studies too. And
no, that's fine.
You're watching. But for those of us who are homeschooling parents, we do have several who are part of our community. Yep. How do you know that your child is ready for dual enrollment?
That is a great question.
You know, I have teenagers, but they're still kind of stretching their legs in terms of, you know, growing into being on a campus or even taking classes online. Excuse me, they're getting accustomed to a more rigorous school schedule this year, you know, especially as homeschoolers. We can be a little eclectic, you know, a little freaky. And then you're like, here, do dual enrollment, and the kid is drowning. So in some ways, how do you know that your kid is ready to stretch their wings and do dual enrollment from an educator's perspective?
That's an excellent question. And one thing I will say is that homeschooled students tend to do very well in an online dual enrollment environment because they have learned to work independently. They've learned to kind of follow a path. No one's standing over them saying, okay, this is the next thing you need to do. This is your homework for tomorrow. I mean, there's just much more independence in the study, which is going to be required in an online environment. So just right there, they're going to be prepared. So as you're evaluating your student, first of all, there's testing. We do not require the ACT or the SAT or the CLT, which is the classic learning test, but it can be a helpful measure. Okay. So if you are like, you know, I'm just not sure, sign them up for an SAT or ACT or whatever is most common in your area and just see where they are on that score. Okay. If they're for an ACT, I'll take that score. If they're at around a 22 or so, they're probably ready for some college level work. Okay. Also, though, I think, especially with Cedarville, you're going to be assigned an advisor. And so they're going to work with the student and to some extent the parent as well to identify areas where the student is ready. So there may be some courses that they're not ready to tackle, right? There may be some other courses that they would do really, really well in. Yeah. And especially homeschoolers, you know where your student is flourishing and where they're maybe not quite ready. And so our advisor will work with the student to make sure they're enrolled in courses where they can be successful. So I know my son went to public school, but we put him in like a personal finance class because it was very practical. And that got his feet wet in terms of college level work. And the statistics on a student who does college level work in high school before going to college, they tend to get better grades in college. They have a better likelihood of graduating from college. So there's some real benefits beyond just, you know, the money of getting some of those courses out of the way.
Yes, that's so good. Thank you for that. And the ladies in the comments are excited about this too. I'll tell you something hilariously. My son is taking a personal finance class in co-op this year, and we would drive through our neighborhood. He would always point at the biggest house. This is where I'm living in what school, mind you.
Of course.
Of course, in veterinary medicine school, this is where I'm going to be living, and I'm going to have this car and all the things. And then he started taking the personal finance class, ladies, and his tune has changed. Everything practical, apartment style living while in school. I think I'll save and conserve. And I need to make sure I tell the teachers, like, thank you so much for that exposure, because he has to do his numbers. And this is how much you're going to be making, and your car payment, and your student loan, if you have any. All of these things, everything is practicality now. It's like, reasonable living. And I'm just like, yeah, good. I'm glad that you got, a dose of reality during that process.
Yep. So that's one of the values of education, right?
Right. Values of education and exposure, and someone else telling your kids something,
So true.
I hate to say that sometimes they have to hear it or be exposed to a certain environment for them to finally take what you said for the last decade seriously. But, it is a beautiful thing.
Well, and I think that's one of the values of investing in Christian education, is because then you have this confidence, this trust that all of this value that you have built into your students' life from since they were born all the way till they're ready to graduate and go on to college, it's going to be continued. And so when they're no longer living in your home and you're not watching out for them, what they're doing every day, that those faculty are going to be teaching from a biblical worldview. And I think that's really, really important as you think about kind of what's the next step after homeschool, or what's the next step after whatever kind of schooling you're doing.
Yeah, that is a really good point. My children at co-op also, they're taking a world religions class. And my daughter prayed, it was Youth Sunday the other Sunday, and she was praying, and she was talking about removing idols and all the very profound prayers. World religion is working, it was the idea of exposure being so amazing, giving the baton over to someone else, to help to admonish your children, encourage them. But like you said, it's so good hearing it from someone else other than I'm the only person who's responsible for, for saying that.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. Okay, so someone asked a question, and ladies, for everyone who's coming in, welcome. Thank you all for being here. If you want to be considered for the complimentary Momathon ticket, you need to be watching on the Momathon page so I can see you live, okay? So I can see your name and call a name, okay? So if you all are watching on my personal or somewhere else, do me the gigantic favor of coming over to the Momathon Diaries Facebook page so you can be a possibility for the ticket, okay? So someone asked a question, B. Jackson, hello. She said, do the credits transfer? If your children come and go for dual enrollment, or you decide to come to school, do the credits transfer?
Awesome question. Great question. You should ask that anywhere you're looking at dual enrollment. And as long as the university is accredited, regionally accredited, which Cedarville University is accredited by the Higher Learning Commission, which would be the accreditor for most of the Midwest universities, yes, those credits are going to transfer. So if they enroll at Cedarville in an online dual enrollment course, pretty much wherever they go, it's going to transfer. And that's another value of the advisor. They are going to help you determine what are the courses that your student's going to need when they go on to whatever it is. So if they're studying in a nursing program, what are the courses? We want to make sure they're taking the right courses so they're not taking things they don't need to take, but it's really going to set them forward.
Okay. Thank you for that. Okay, so I would love to talk a little bit more about your history. The title of our live tonight is Can Moms Do It All? We have some ladies watching who are not moms, but still have families, positions, roles that they play as caregivers, spouses, etc. And sometimes we as women don't feel like we have the open possibility to tackle anything. So could you talk to us a little bit more about going back to school? And we talked about this when we did our meet and greet, going back to school, working on your doctorate, during this time while raising your son and being a wife, all of this, could you talk to us, take us back then to what you had to think and feel and how you had to excite yourself every day, even when it got challenging?
So, I don't know that I was like originally thinking I wanted to do a doctoral program, but in my work, it became clear that, if you want to take the next step, I was thinking about, okay, what does the Lord have for me next? When you're working in higher education, and so no matter what you're in, kind of what it takes to go to the next level. Working in higher education, I really felt like I needed a doctoral degree.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, my son he was probably in 4th or 5th grade.
Mm-hmm.
And my husband was working full time as a teacher. And so we started looking at options. And the first thing I would say is, I don't know that moms can do everything, but they can do a lot more than they think they can.
That part.
Yeah. So when you're going into it, it's daunting, it's scary, but I would say one of the first things I'd recommend is making sure that everyone in the family understands this is a family decision. So even though mom might be going back to school, there's going to be some impact on the family.
Mm-hmm.
And so sometimes you have to make some decisions, you have to make some sacrifices, whether they're financial or how you're going to get work done around the house. But my husband and I just kind of talked through, well, what's going to work for our family. Christina and I, when we first talked, I was joking and said one of the things that we did back then is we decided that we would have somebody clean the house so that I would not have to
hold on, say that one more time.
We decided we would have somebody clean the house.
Yes.
And that just took a load off of my mind on the weekend because I get stressed out if my house is a mess. And so you make those kinds of decisions to be able to pull it off. Mm-hmm. Also, like my husband was working with the music band program at that time. And so he would take my son with him to marching band every single Friday night. And that became my study time. I just knew I could set aside that time. I wouldn't be taking time away from my family, and I could really read and do the work that I needed to do. Yeah. The other thing that I did, I went to University of Nebraska for my PhD, and it was mostly online. But I made a commitment to go out to Lincoln for 1 week every single term. Mm-hmm. Because for our family, it was better for me to just get away for a week, totally focus on my classes, do the work that I needed to do. And then when I came home, I could be at home. There was still work I had to do. That was Friday nights. But so I guess the big picture is you have to organize your schedule, recognize it's for a season, mm-hmm. and then I just worked my way through it. And it's just one day after the next. And you celebrate the end of a semester, and then you celebrate the end of 2 semesters. And then it's like, oh my goodness, a year's done. Mm-hmm. And before you know it, you're ready to graduate, and you realize, oh my goodness. And I remember my parents came out for my graduation, my husband and son. It was such an awesome experience. Mm-hmm. But really, I was celebrating as the one with the cap and gown, but they were celebrating too, because everyone had had a part in it in some way. Mm-hmm. And I'm so thankful for that. So I know some people look on a graduate degree as like a really stressful time in their life, and it can be. There's definitely stress involved. But I look back on it with some really positive memories. I learned and I grew, and I'm so thankful I went ahead and did it, even though I was scared to do it.
Yeah. Let's go a little deeper when you were talking about seasons. You know, the idea of embracing a certain period in time. So we have this thing floating around social media right now, okay? Talking about the soft life, you know, the idea of housekeepers and delegating everything and life with ease and self-care and all this stuff, right? Like we love the idea of all of those things. But what if we're called to some seasons that are supposed to be challenging? You know, what if we're called to some seasons that are supposed to pull the best out of us? You know, what if we are required to learn to communicate with our loved ones, our significant other? You know, I can remember, and I've shared this with my audience before, me walking around the house, my business was doing a little something. You know, I had 2 nickels to rub together, and you know, I was like, we're going to hire a housekeeper. You know, I'm just like, I'm bad. I'm all these things. And I remember we didn't do it right away. But then I remember when my husband was walking around the house and said, we need to hire a housekeeper. And I was like, are you telling me that I don't have it all together, that I'm not, you know, executing perfectly as this, businesswoman slash homemaker slash homeschooling mom and all of these things. So could you just go a little bit deeper on the idea of having seasons when we have to work harder, and that hard work doesn't mean a bad thing, having to push past our normal comfort zone or our normal boundary, that doesn't mean that I'm not supposed to do it. It might mean something else.
Yeah, well, I think I'm going to use an illustration as a runner. So I enjoy running. That's kind of how I decompress and de-stress. And I'm not a fast runner, but I've gotten so I love to run long runs. And it's stressful and it's hard, right? It's hard work to get up in the morning and run when it's still dark. And it's really hard work when you're on about mile 10 or whatever and you're working on a half marathon. But the sense of accomplishment after you work hard for that season, whether you run the race and you complete it, you meet your goal or whatever, you can't replace that sense of accomplishment and achievement. And those types of things don't come without hard work. They don't come without seasons. And I think that applies to a graduate program, right? You're making a commitment for a season, whether it's 1 year or 2 years or 3 years. You say, I'm going to invest deeply in myself personally, in my advancing how I have a ministry at my church, or I want to grow in my career. And I know to do that, I need a graduate degree. So I know there's going to be some stress. I know there's going to be some extra hours. I know I'm going to be pushed. I'm going to have to study. I'm not necessarily going to be able to do all the fun things that I wanted to do on the weekends. Like I remember, because I was online, we would go on vacation and I would take my computer and I would be doing statistics homework while my husband and son were at the beach. That's totally not fair. But it was it, right? And so I think there are times when you work really, really hard because you know the goal is worth it. And then you mentioned kind of at the beginning the idea of a soft life. And part of me says, as Christians, those of us who are Christians, God didn't call us to a soft life, right? He called us to a life of sacrifice. So, in many ways, yes, it's a season toward grad school and accomplishing something personally. It's well worth it. But I think the bigger principle is God's called us to work hard. He's called us to sacrifice. And it's a great privilege.
That's heavy, y'all. Did y'all pick that up? I hope so. I hope so. I have a book and I did a study over an extensive period of time on the book Take the Day Off by Pastor Robert Morris. And in the book, he talks about the importance of Sabbath days, how, but the emphasis on the scripture is 6 days you do your work. And then you get this 7th day off to refuel, to worship, to reconnect and communicate. And I have found that sometimes some of us, maybe not everyone, but some of us, we want to have every day be day 7. We want to be everyday Adventists, where, every single day I want to feel this luxury and, all these things. It's like, well, no, this is the day that I'm really leaning into who I'm supposed to be. And that may not always feel comfortable. Some days that feels uncomfortable, or I can feel the stretch. I mean, I've been sharing about stretching this as we plan the conference and so much more, like feeling the stretch, but it doesn't mean it's bad. It doesn't mean I'm supposed to run away from it. It doesn't mean this is not my purpose, my life's work. Like sometimes you have to lean into, God, I feel you stretching me. And that is a beautiful thing.
Well, and when we stretch our muscles, so go to our physical body, how God made us, that's how we get stronger. So if we like to sit on the couch and watch TV and eat bonbons, we're not going to get stronger, right? So I think that's just how God's wired us.
Yeah, 100% agree. Okay, so you made your way through undergrad, master's, doctorate. Okay.
I didn't do them right in a row, though. Okay. So I did my undergrad, I worked for a while, then I did my master's program, worked for a while, and then did my PhD. So I needed a break between.
Yeah, I need a break. We're not upset about it. So as you infiltrated into the Dr. Supplee version of yourself, were there any shifts that you had to make internally? How old was your son around this time? Was he, nearing adulthood? And what kind of changes did you need to make as you moved into that?
Well, I viewed the title or the doctor in front of my name as really a gift from the Lord. If you were to come to my office, I have a plaque that basically it's God's grace that gave me the opportunity to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, it's a title. I think it changed some of the responsibilities I had in my job. I'm able to teach now the classes that I wouldn't have been able to teach before I had them. Even serving in the dean's role, I wouldn't have been able to do that. So it's changed my function in some ways, but I certainly hope it hasn't changed the essence of who I am.
Yeah.
But it has made me think differently. It's probably made me think more broadly about issues, have a broader understanding of that topic. I think it gives you a sense of confidence that you can look back on it. Well, at the beginning, you don't know what you're getting into, and there's always this big feeling like, can I really do this? I haven't been in school for a while, right? So for some of your listeners who haven't been in school for a while, it may be like, I don't know if I can do this.
Yeah.
And that's where it's one day at a time. But then when you're done, you really do gain a lot of confidence that you do have the ability, and I can't believe how much I learned.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. So let's talk more about the Cedarville University School of Graduate Studies and the incredible opportunities that you all have for our ladies. If you are watching somewhere else other than on the Facebook page, come and meander over to the Momathon Diaries Facebook page, not from the group or my personal page, if you want to be qualified for the complimentary ticket. Okay. I've been trying to pull names as she's been telling her story to make sure that we have everyone. But if you were not there, then you might miss it. Okay. So if you just got here, drop an emoji or something in the chat so that we know that you're present. Okay. So tell us a little bit more about the opportunities that Cedarville University has for our ladies, especially those who are busy working parents. Maybe they have to go to school online. They don't live in Ohio. Just share some of the focus that you all have.
Absolutely. So Cedarville offers about 30 different graduate programs. So there's a lot of different things to choose from. And for your listeners, I would tell them that they probably are very much like the students who are enrolled in our graduate programs. So many of our programs, most of our programs are offered fully online. So just to give you a sense for what's available, we offer graduate programs in nursing. So if you have a Bachelor of Science in Nursing and you're interested in being a nurse practitioner, we offer both an MSN as well as a Doctor of Nursing practice that are fully online. I just went to the orientation and welcomed our new students, and most of them are moms and they're working full time and they're embarking on this new adventure. And so your listeners are exactly the kinds of students who enroll at Cedarville. Besides nursing, we have programs in business. So we have a traditional MBA, which is also online. So if you're working in an organizational setting, that's actually what my master's degree was in. Very recognizable degree. Almost every organization is looking for people who have those types of business skills. You can choose tracks. We have 6 different tracks, everything from accounting to entrepreneurship to cybersecurity management. So there's a lot of ways you can customize that degree to yourself. And then we offer an innovation degree, which is pretty new, but it's also online. And
I've never heard what is.
Yeah, really.
So interesting.
It's a huge growing area. In fact, a lot of corporations are now hiring, like, how you have a chief marketing officer, chief financial officer, chief innovation officer. And they are the person who's really in charge of kind of where are we going next. And a lot of times they'll be over research and development. The number one skill that employers say they're looking for is problem solving skills. And that's what this degree focuses on, is basically helping you take and analyze a situation and come up with ideas and solutions and take it all the way to implementation. Wow. It's an amazing degree. I love this degree. So it's an MA in innovation. That's fully online. So no matter where your listeners are, they can do it. I should mention this too, and you'll find this with other schools too, but most of our students are going one class at a time. That makes it a lot more manageable. So our online programs are offered in 7-week modules. So you take one class for 7 weeks, right? You can endure anything for 1 month or for 7 weeks.
Yeah, a month and a half.
That's right, a month and a half. Then you get a week off, and then you take your next course. And then you come to Christmas break, and then you start up in January, and it goes year round, but it's 7-week modules.
Wow.
Very manageable. Most of our students are taking just one course at a time. So business, nursing, innovation. We have several different ministry courses. So, or not courses, but programs. We have a Master of Ministry degree. So if you're looking at, I just want to know more about the Bible, I want to be more involved in my church, or maybe you're working in a church ministry and you want to have more biblical training, Master of Ministry is a great one. We have a Master of Arts in Biblical Leadership. So if you're looking to grow your leadership skills, that's a great online degree.
Go ahead. I want to insert into this little, give a bullet point that all the time my husband gets emails, somehow we have come to a conclusion in a way that ministry is not a job. Okay. I'm married to a senior pastor, but a lot of times we feel like the only I'm very frank. The only paid position at church is as a musician or as a pastor, right? Like those, maybe the church secretary, like that's it. But I see so many jobs available for people to work in ministry, in Absolutely. A church as a youth lead. Like they have full-time youth leader positions. If you love kids, things like that. So sometimes when we think about biblical studies, people are like, I don't want to be a pastor, or I don't want to, but you can go and get well trained and then have all kind of open doors to you because you're prepared. But I just believe God, he helps us to build a sidewalk to the path that we're supposed to go on. If we don't start the process, if we don't invest, if we don't jump, then a lot of times those doors are closed to us because they want someone who has a graduate degree in biblical studies, a master's degree in biblical studies, to say that they're prepared to serve God's people.
Yeah. And the way our programs are structured is you're going to get a very, I don't want to say basic, but a base level understanding of scripture, the Old Testament, the New Testament, theology, but then you're going to focus in on something of interest to you, whether it's worship and theology or it's a leadership area. We're just getting ready to add a biblical counseling area. That's part of that same Master of Arts degree, and then one that's a theological studies for someone who really does want to be more in like a pastoral or teaching women's ministry type of position. Mm-hmm. So you're exactly right, Christina. There are a lot of
jobs out there. Do not limit, working.
Lots of opportunities. Let's see. So those are the online programs. We have a number of certificates. So if you're like, hey, I'm not ready for a graduate degree, maybe you want to start with a 4-course certificate in leadership or a 4-course certificate in public health, something like that. So there's some opportunities like that. And then residential. So this is for the moms who want to pick up the families and move to Cedarville. Yeah. We have a Doctor of Pharmacy degree. We have a PA. So you've been, I'm sure, had a PA work with you at your local doctor's office or whatever. We have a PA program, and we offer a athletic training program, Master of Athletic Training. And we offer a Master of Divinity. So but all of those are residential programs. And one thing we haven't talked about, Christina, is for your Momathon listeners, we want to give a scholarship to anyone who fills out our form tonight. They would automatically qualify for a 15% off discount. So it is cedarville.edu.
Yes. Well, someone put in the comments. Cedarville.edu/Momathon.
Momathon, right. It's just a real quick form, first name, last name, your email address. Is there a program you might be interested in? You don't have to enroll tomorrow. We'll have your name on file. And so we'll know that you gave us your name during this broadcast, and you will automatically eligible for the 15%. And I should mention to you, sometimes people think, oh, if I go to a Christian college, it's going to be a lot more expensive. It is not. At the graduate level, you will find that the cost of a graduate degree from Cedarville compared to whatever your local university isn't going to be that much different. Mm-hmm. And so we really try to keep it affordable. There are some scholarships, federal financial aid is available. So it's amazing. And some employers will do reimbursement. So it can be a very affordable, because we know that's one more thing you're trying to deal with too.
Yeah, absolutely. My husband took time off during the pandemic from working on his master's degree in divinity and apologetics and a bunch of other things that I don't know. We were studying the sand that's in the Nile River. I was like, sir, I'm not getting a degree. Like, this is for you. Anyway.
You should have gotten one.
I know, right? We both should get one, my name on the byline. But anyway, but with that thought, because it was pricey, and so during the pandemic, as things ebbs and flows with business, he said, okay, I'm going to take a little bit of time off and wants to go back. So I think it's so important that it is, financially affordable. And, if they have such short cycles of classes, then you can just move quickly into the next thing, as opposed to, spring, summer, fall, and then that's it.
Yeah.
That's a big difference.
We found that adults really like that kind of quick turnover to the next class. Mm-hmm. And so we started that, 6-7 years ago in all of our online programs. It's been a huge benefit to the students who have enrolled.
All right. I'm excited. Okay, everyone. We're going to get ready to do thank you all for being here. This is such just juicy goodness. Okay. I want to make sure I have everybody's name so that you can, and I'm going to have Dr. Supplee just give us a little bit extra goodness. If you have not dropped an emoji yet, so that we can add your name into the database for winning a free ticket, then feel free to do so really quickly. Dr. Supplee, would you, while they're doing that, share with us about the end result, about learning how to go on the roller coaster ride of a big life change? Like I'm going on a big life change, but the roller coaster ride of going through that, but how exciting it is to get to the other side.
Oh, yeah. That sense of accomplishment and achievement, it's really kind of hard to put into words. But I just think about graduation at Cedarville. Okay. So you get done and you put on that robe and you put on the cap and the tassel, and you reflect really on what God has done. And we have a whole celebration where, we're going to bring you to campus and we're going to honor you and celebrate with you, and your family's there, and you have achieved something amazing. So I've had the opportunity, some of my staff, to give them the opportunity to do their graduate degree. Mm-hmm. And just to see the confidence that they gain by going through that process and what they've learned and the ability to take on new tasks, it will open doors for you that you never really expected. Mm-hmm. So let's say the nurse who wants to be a nurse practitioner. It's going to be hard, right? There is a lot of work to get from where you are to get to that next level. But when you're done and you see those doors out open and you pass that certification exam and you're licensed to practice and you've accomplished this goal, it literally changes your life, right? You'll never be the same.
Oh my goodness.
So you'll look back on the 2 or 3 years and it's like, well, that went so quickly. And now this whole new door is open to me that would not have been opened otherwise. And so I think I would say, again, the stress, the hard work, the endurance, the perseverance, it's worth it because you're able to open doors and do things that you just simply couldn't do before without that degree.
Wow. I love that so much. We talk a lot here about goal reaching and the idea of, let me see, I'll make sure I'm doing this right. Okay, it's doing all the shuffling and things. Let's see. Hold on, everybody. Okay, so the idea of goal reaching here, we take that very seriously, and I always talk often about the new person that you become as a result of completing a goal. Like your brain rewires, not just because you are learning something new, but the stretching creates new pathways in your brain. Like you literally become someone new. When you do something one time, it starts. When you go back and you do it again and again, when you fall in love with learning, when you fall in love with becoming someone different, it's like, you know what? You literally are someone new. And it's because you went to school, but it's not because of that. It is because of the confidence and, knowing that you're someone that finishes what they start.
Oh, that's huge.
Major.
Yeah.
It's so major,
It's the whole process, right? It's not just the degree at the end. It's the whole process of learning and stretching yourself. And it's amazing.
Yes, 100%. Okay, I'm excited. We are going to give a few names. All right, so I want everybody to know I'm not picking any favorites. I know a few ladies here. I see some new faces. Hey, sisters, we're so glad you're here. So I'm gonna like shuffle it a couple times. I'm not looking. I have to look to shuffle, but I just want you all to know I'm not picking any favorites. So 1, 2, 3. Okay, our first winner is Andrea. Andrea, hi, you have a ticket to the Momathon conference. And we are excited to have you. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. Everybody clap it up for Andrea. And guess what? I think I have wiggle room to give away one more because we just love like that. Between Momathon and Cedarville, we're going to do one more. So I'm going to shuffle again. And we're going to see who turns up. Shuffle one more time. I'm going to shuffle again. Let's see who comes up. The next winner is Cheryl. Hi, Cheryl. We're glad that you're here. Kimmy said, me? Cheryl, you also have a ticket to the Momathon conference. So I hope everyone sees. I have a whole list of names right here. I try to get everyone's name. So Cheryl, if you're still here and watching, you have a ticket along with, who is our other young, Andrea is our other winner. So ladies, we thank you all so much. Congratulations to all of you. If you did not win, do not give up hope. It is my goal to continue to be a blessing to our ladies in as much as possible. I really want to thank you so much, Dr. Supplee, for being here, for pouring so much encouragement and helping our ladies to focus on the end results, on who we're going to become. The scripture comes to mind, he who has begun a good work in us, he is faithful to finish it, to complete it. That I'm going to become the person that I'm supposed to become, and we thank you that Cedarville is one of those ways to help us to become that. Above also is a link where you can go and put your information in to connect with the Cedarville School of Graduate Studies. They can share more about the programs that they offer. You can pinpoint the right one for you. They have made it schedule-wise very feasible, financially feasible for you to go back and achieve a goal that's been in your heart for a long time to do, okay? And that's what we're all about here, is goal reaching the right way. Dr. Supplee, any final words for us, for the ladies who are watching?
I just want to thank you so much for the privilege of talking with you, Christina. It has been such a privilege to spend some time with your listeners and to just think about what God can do through education. It's an amazing opportunity. So I wish you all the best at the Momathon conference. It's a joy for us to be able to sponsor it and to bless some of your listeners in that way.
Thank you so much. We are grateful because without sponsors like you all, I love everyone. If it was up to me, I'd make it free. Everybody come on, but they want to eat. And we want to be able to love on them well when they arrive. So thank you so much for your big heart, for sharing your wisdom and your life experience today.
Thank you so much for the privilege. You have a good evening.
All right, ladies. Bye-bye. Thank you all for joining.
Bye-bye.